Pakistan is facing a catastrophe like no other. Monsoon rainfall caused devastation at a scale not witnessed in the recent past. Over 900 people have lost their lives. Hundreds more have been forced to move out of their homes. The monsoon season started in June and it has been causing havoc since the word go. Parts of Pakistan witnessed a record amount of rain, prompting the country to seek international help. According to the United Nations, heavy rainfall and floods affected some 2.3 million people across the country.
रोड में पड़ा हूँ ऐसे को 5 दिन थिया न राशन न तंबू ऐसे छोटा बच्चा और मी मथु बारिश है कुछ भी नहीं है न तंबू है बीमार से बच्चा नंढा मर जाएगा अभी क्या करूँ रोड में पड़ा है हम अंदर पानी है ज़बरदस्त पानी है और कुछ भी नहीं मिला 5 दिन थिया न रोटी है न तंबू है न कुछ भी नहीं है नंढा छोटा बाल हमारा बीमार थे.
Just in the last 24 hours, dozens have died after being washed away by flood waters. About 9 of them were children. Sindh and Balochistan are 2 worst hit regions. Rainfall was 500% higher than normal in one province and 430% in the other. Adding to the residents' woes, a fresh spell of rainfall was seen in Hyderabad. This is the 2nd largest city in the Sindh province. And being a low-lying area, businesses, trade, commercial activities have been put on hold for now.
सारा सामान हमारा डूबा हुआ है घर और मेरे तो झोपड़ी एक कच्ची छत है वो तो बिल्कुल टूट गई है आपने देखा है जैसा कि और ये कि सारा सामान हमारा पानी के अंदर बह रहा है और यहाँ पर ना इतने सारे जानवर पैदा हो गए इस पानी के अंदर और कीड़े मकोड़े सांप यहाँ तक कि यहाँ पर सांप निकल चुके हैं जो बच्चों को 2-3 बच्चों को तो काट चुके हैं जख्म हो गया बुखार में मुब्तला हैं यहाँ कोई मेडिसिन वगैरह का भी यहाँ पर कोई इंतजामात नहीं है कि प्लीज़ मेहरबानी करके आप लोग हमारी हेल्प करें मदद करें ताकि हम इस मुश्किल से निकल सकें.
The annual monsoon is crucial to Pakistan's agricultural sector. Irrigation of crops and replenishment of the water bodies heavily depending on it. But this year, monsoon brought less relief and more fury. July's national rainfall was almost 200% above average, destroying nearly 2 million acres of farmland so far. While limited-scale devastation is expected during this season, each year climate change is pushing the bar higher. This year, Pakistan has really seen the worst of both worlds. It started with an unprecedented heat wave, with temperatures hitting as high as 51 degrees Celsius in the same Sindh province, which is now grappling with floods. Pakistan is 8th on a list of countries deemed most vulnerable to extreme weather events. Dr. Imran Khalid, Director Governance and Policy WWF Pakistan, is now joining us from Islamabad. Thanks very much for being here with us. Floods are an annual affair, but just how bad is this year's flooding situation in Pakistan? If you can just put this into context for us.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. So yes, floods are a regular occurrence in Pakistan as they're across South Asia, but this year's floods are a reminder of the 2010 floods that devastated Pakistan. That was like a hint of things to come as far as climate change is concerned. Already we've got about 1,000 people dead, a significant portion of whom are women and children. We've got livestock losses amounting to over 500,000 and people displaced across the country in their thousands. The flooding episodes started earlier this year, right after the heat wave up in the north, where in Gilgit-Baltistan we saw Glacial Lake outburst flooding affect our northern areas. Then slowly and surely, as the monsoon set in, we saw riverine flooding and flooding via the hill torrents, and now the monsoon rains have added to the mix. And so the devastation is quite enormous. As you were saying earlier, our crops have been affected, the rice crop, the cotton crop, vegetables that we grow for in terms of maintaining our food security, they've been affected. So the situation is quite dire.
Right. A lot of experts say that climate change is responsible for this increase in flooding. Can you also shed some light in view of the high temperatures which are causing the ice to melt faster, given that Pakistan is home to more than 7,000 glaciers? That's more than anywhere else outside the poles.
Right. So, yes, the glaciers are under a threat of melting. And as you know, the Himalayan, Hindu Kush, Karakoram mountain ranges are known as the third pole because of the amount of glaciers that we have here in South Asia, apart from the North and South poles. But this is only part of the equation. The glaciers are melting, and they're resulting in what's known as glacial lake outburst floods. As glaciers melt, they form a lake, and then that lake, kind of falls. There's an ice dam, and it falls apart, and then there's flooding, and that's known as glacial lake outburst flooding. But beyond that, we're seeing intense activity as far as the monsoons are concerned, right? So this is coming on the heels of the heat wave that we had. We're facing sea level rise, we're facing droughts. So it's a whole plethora of things that we're facing as a result of climate change, and they're all affecting us. You highlighted how July was one of the wettest months in the past few decades, with nearly 200% more rain than average. This is quite catastrophical. In Balochistan province, we've seen about 300% more rain than the annual average. And so it's affecting us in numerous ways.
And just how prepared is the Pakistan government to tackle these climate-driven calamities? We are looking at the situation on the ground, and it does mean that there would be a requirement for a lot of investment in infrastructure as well.
Yes, infrastructure is important. We've seen a lot of roads damaged, highways, communication lines have been disconnected. But Pakistan is as well prepared as any developing country can hope to be, given the climate crisis. So we do have a climate policy. We're working on a climate adaptation plan that needs to be localized and that needs to take into account local needs. The government is responding to the best of its capabilities, but it's in a reactive mode. I think we need to go beyond that and make climate adaptation a part of our development planning. But remember, this isn't our doing. This isn't our doing when it comes to Pakistan, India, Philippines, Bangladesh. The genesis of the climate crisis has its roots in the global West, in the Western countries. Their road to progress has been paved through greenhouse gas emissions that are now taking their toll on developing countries like Pakistan. So those countries also have to pick up the mantle as far as addressing the loss and damage that Pakistan is facing right now. Right. They've made a number of promises as part of the Climate Paris Agreement, but now is the time to really, fulfill those. And finally, let me just add that this is a regional problem as well, and we need to move beyond thinking in terms of political boundaries, because climate change does not recognize political boundaries, be they national or international. Hence, there needs to be cooperation amongst countries across South Asia in terms of data sharing, knowledge sharing, and learning from each other in terms of how we can respond to such crises.
Right. Dr. Imran Khalid, appreciate very much for joining us here. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.